Good morning, this is Chiara with the Children's Museum. As many of you know, the Children's Museum is closed during this isolation period. Our wonderful director, Dr. Ginny, is trying in many ways to keep in touch with you and keep offering you as many services as we can. So she started a special website with video content where you can go log in and see what's going on at the museum and what's going on with the museum staff and volunteers. I'm doing this from my kitchen at home, and today I'd like to bake with you some gluten-free bread. I've baked bread before, but never done gluten-free bread, so this is a brand new experience for me as well, and we'll learn together. If it comes out well, great. If not, we'll try and figure out what went wrong and what we can do better the next time. So what we're doing today, it's called a gluten-free Dutch oven bread. Baking bread in a Dutch oven uses moisture and steam to bake the bread. So I've done bread in the Dutch oven before, but never gluten-free. So this is a new thing. So this is my Dutch oven. It's about 10 centimeters in diameter and about 5 inches high. Let's go through with the ingredient. I don't know if we can zoom in on the list of ingredients for maybe a few seconds, and I can probably put them up later as well. And then I'm going to read them out to you. So we're going to start with, we'll have 2 tablespoons of dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1.5 cup of warm water, 105 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, you put your fingers in it and you need to fill the water very warm, like you would wash your hands with this water. It's not too hot that you can't keep your fingers in, but it is quite warm. Because we're using, so we have 3 cups of gluten-free all-purpose flour and 1 tablespoon of xanthan gum. The recipe I'm following says some gluten-free flour mix will have xanthan gum in it, some will not. The recipe specifically said that whether there is or not, we'll use an additional 1 tablespoon. Then we have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 large eggs lightly beaten, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. So the first thing that we'll do, we'll combine the yeast, sugar, and water in a bowl. We want a larger bowl than our amount of water because it will bubble a little bit. So here's our yeast, and we put it in. And our sugar. Sugar helps to activate the yeast. And it's not necessary to stir it. I usually just swirl it a little bit. And I'll let it sit, and we'll let it sit about 5-6 minutes. It will start bubbling. In the meantime, we will get a small bowl and we will stir the xanthan gum with the olive oil. So I have the olive oil here, and this is my xanthan gum. And I don't know if I pronounced this correctly. I've only seen it written, so I don't know. So I'm going to put it in, and I guess I need to get something to stir it. So hang on 1 second. I'll get my little whisk. Sorry about that. I tried to prepare everything, but I didn't. So we'll stir it until the xanthan gum dissolves. And it looks like it dissolves pretty easily. Very smooth, doesn't clump or anything. And we'll set that aside as well. Our next step is in a big bowl, we combine our flour and salt. So here's our flour, 3 cups, I already have it measured. And our salt. Okay, this says to use a mixer with a flat beater. Not normally with bread we'll use a dough hook, but this one we'll probably use a we'll probably have a softer dough. So we'll use a flat beater, which is this. And we're just going to stir this with, just stir the salt and the flour together, so just for a few seconds. So that it was well combined. You can also do that with your hands. Make sure you don't do it while the mixer is on though. Okay, you can see already that the yeast is starting to dissolve and to bubble. So I'm going to try and give that a little stir as well. Just to help it. And we're going to take a break now because we'll let it sit another few minutes. And then I will show you how it is afterward. Okay, so we waited about 5 minutes, and this is how our yeast is now. See how foamy it is? That's the reaction with the warm water and the sugar. While I was waiting for it, I cleaned up all the stuff that I no longer need, so we can keep working on a clean surface. So at this point, we combine the yeast mixture with the flour. Scrape it around well. I like to use these rubber spatulas. They're very useful because they clean up the bowls very well when there are things that stick to them. Our lightly beaten eggs. Pour that in as well. I'm going to use that spatula to scrape, make sure we get all that. It's probably another teaspoon in there. Same thing with our oil and gum. You want to get every little bit out of it. I'm going to use this little bit of vinegar and pour it in there. Hopefully we'll clean up the rest that I couldn't get with the spatula. Okay, so we'll get this back up and we'll turn it in on low like your first. And this is fairly loud, so I'll do this off video. I'll probably let it go until it's well combined. And then with my spatula, I will scrape the side of the bowl to make sure that everything gets mixed in. And then I will let it mix for another about 3 minutes. Okay, and we'll be back. Okay, so our dough is ready. And while the dough was mixing, I cleaned up some more things. I got a piece of parchment paper out. And I just want to go over a couple of safety tips about our mixer, especially for the little ones that my very observant cameraman noted. When you're using a mixer, when you scrape the bowl, make sure that you either unplug it or remove the bowl. You never want to put your hands in it while the mixer is plugged in, even if it's stopped. You'll never know. Also, one of the things, that you don't reach over because you could have something that will hang down. So always be very safe around any appliance. So what we're going to do now, we're going to sprinkle some flour on our parchment paper so our dough will not stick to it. Okay, and then I think I'll need my spatula again. We will turn our dough onto our parchment paper. First, we'll scrape it off of the hook. You can do this with your hands. If you're using your hands, see, it's not plugged in now, so that would be safe. If you're using your hands, make sure you wet them first because this dough is very, very sticky. Show you how almost like a thick batter. And just scrape it all off the bowl. Try to keep it in one piece as much as possible, but if it breaks, it's okay. And we'll just scoop it up onto our parchment paper. Go. Remember, I have some water here so I can wet my hands because I want to kind of make it to a little dome, like so. Okay. I didn't center it very well, but that's okay. It will work. So we're going to sprinkle a little more flour on top of it.
Smells like bread.
And then we're going to cover it with a bowl. Leave it right there to rise for about 45 minutes to an hour. About 15 minutes before we're ready to check our dough, we're going to turn our oven on to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to put our Dutch oven inside the oven to preheat. We're going to do that with the lid on and empty. We're not putting any water or anything in it. Again, some safety tips when using the oven. If you have very little kids, maybe parents should be do it or supervise it. You know your kids, you know what kind of help they need. So I'll see you back in about 45 minutes. So after an hour, excuse me, after 1 hour, this is always a surprise moment. Our bread dough should be about double what it was. Didn't rise up much, I noticed, but it did expand it, and it's I don't know. I don't know if this is something with gluten-free. I've never done it. Let's see how it works. I took my Dutch oven out of the oven. It's very hot, so be very careful. Keep the lid on. So what we're going to do with this now, I'm going to try and shape it. I have a feeling that this dough is a little too soft. So maybe I'm going to put a little more flour on it and let it rise a little longer. Or maybe not. I think we're going to try it this way and see how it comes out. I'm going to sprinkle a little more flour on top of it. And very carefully, I'm going to remove the lid from my Dutch oven. It will probably steam out. And I will kind of pick up by the corner this. And try to center it as best I can. Put it right in there. Maybe cut the paper a little bit. I'm going to get scissors. A little, so it's not too much. I already placed my lid. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put this in the oven for 45 minutes at 450 Fahrenheit. After 45 minutes, we're going to remove the lid and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes or until we see the top starts to be golden brown. We'll see how it turns out. So here's our bread. We just got it out of the oven. It looks nice and golden on top. It's very rustic. Didn't rise up as much as I'm used to with wheat bread, but because I've never done gluten-free bread, I don't know if that may be a little bit different. So we're going to pull it out and see and let it cool very light. And we're going to let it cool on our wire rack. Very careful not to touch the pot with the pot. And, well, we'll just have to taste it, and not much of that I can share on video. So if you want to try it, good luck, and stay tuned for more recipes. Thank you.